my show. Yes, always full. Those highway nights make me feel so safe. I chased the lightning, I got soaked in the rain. Dance with my demons till I couldn't
Welcome
see
to
straight.
Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Innovative Strategies is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not in the way you've known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from about a 30,000 foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have questions, email Bill at Bill at Bill@BillHasse.com, or Bill, we'll get them over to your Gmail at some point.
Yeah, right.
That check is great. Today, practical tools for bringing your dreams to life with Laura Di Benedetto. Hello, Bill. Welcome in.
Hey, good morning. How you
Good
doing?
morning. I am well.
Awesome.
And we got her. We got her in from the green room. We'll just pull her in. There she is.
All right, we will. I gotta have a chat here with my man.
Yeah.
Briefly here, because it's been a brutal week.
You've had a fun week.
I have not had a good week. So Bill at BillHasse.com currently does not work.
Yes.
Due to a technical issue created by me. and the inability to correct that technical issue by me.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. And I also got tagged on my debit card. Somebody down in Bentonville, Arkansas, was having a good time.
Nice down there at the land of Walmart,
shopping and whatnot. So I had to deal with that.
Right.
And I had to call Chase, because that's who I go through, and explain to them that, this card was just sent to me 3 weeks ago. You might want to look internally at what's going on, because I had the previous card I had for 5 years with no issues. You send me a new card, boom, I get tagged.
Yeah.
So something's going on in that system there. But and then of course today we finally have sunshine for the first time in like 40 days or
here
something.
in Northern Illinois.
Yeah, unfortunately, it comes with a 38-degree temperature. So
I remember a groundhog that came out and said it was only going to be 6 weeks of winter.
Yeah.
Here we are 9 weeks later.
And we still haven't played golf.
That's right.
But
That's right.
today though, Laura Di Benedetto, that name just flows,
Yes.
right? An amazing person who has done so many things, and I personally look forward to working with her in the very near future.
Yeah. Now, Laura, you have muted your mic, so I need you to unmute your mic some way so we can chat. There she is. Wonderful. I just didn't want you to start talking.
And today we are talking about practical tools for bringing your dreams to life, and this is really a very important subject to me personally. But I think it's something that all people. We had 4.5 million people walk out of their jobs in March,
right?
1 month. So a lot of these folks are going to be starting their own businesses and stuff, and they have these dreams, right? What happens? I'm going to go big. I want to go big. How do you handle that? Laura is someone who can help teach you how to deal with that. But she's done so much more. She's written a book, 6 Habits, that we're going to be talking about here. So she's an author. She's a 3-time founder and CEO of businesses, a TEDx speaker, which I had to look up. TEDx is a local TED speaker versus an international TED speaker. And if you want to know what a TED speaker is, go ahead and Google it, because I can't describe it to you offhand. A success coach podcast.
Not a sex coach.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Researcher. She just does so many things. So, Laura, welcome to Innovative Strategies. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's fun to talk to you again.
Yeah, we've spoken a few times recently.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things that you and I could talk about to help business owners. As you know, on this show, we kind of talk about, why do business owners come to you? What are the problems, issues, concerns that they have? And what are the kinds of solutions that you have for them? And you did point out, these 6 habits to being successful. So tell us a little bit about these 6 habits that we need to all have so we can handle all that money that's going to come our way.
Sure. All right. So the 6 habits are all up here. We think of habits as like having our coffee or brushing our teeth with the right hand or whatever in a certain way, and physical things that we do. But these 6 wonderful habits are automatic things that we think. And you might have noticed that you have similar thought patterns now. You react to your spouse the same way. You react to success the same way. You react to, I need something, the same way from your kids, right? You just
Yeah.
tend to react the same way. Like, your wife has that like tone in her voice. You're like, oh, here we go again. Like, I say this because it may or may not happen in my
Yeah, we
house.
all go through that.
Yeah, totally. But like we just have these mental habits and shortcuts. It's because it's like we just kind of anticipate and know what's going to happen. So what we do is we've developed these well-worn grooves in our brain for this is how we think and this is how our mind works. However, after a lifetime of basically absorbing all of the negative stuff from society about you should think this way and you should feel bad about yourself that way you want to buy my product and you should hustle and grind your ass into the dirt and work really hard,
Right.
and that's the only way you're worthy. Like we've just developed a lifetime of really crappy mental patterns, and my work and my book aims to help people to choose differently, to develop new mental habits that can really serve you, make you happy, make you wealthy, make you, more, I guess, sexual, since we started there. More, a
An
lot of
important
different
factor.
things. Huh?
An important factor.
Yeah, exactly.
You and I discussed, several things that can come up. So like folks like to say, "Oh, I put in 12-hour days. I'm putting in 80-hour weeks." And okay, but that doesn't really tell me anything.
Yeah, you're winning the race to the grave. Good job.
Yeah.
Like work smarter, not harder. But yeah, this was really fun when I got to chat with you one-on-one about this, just kind of unpacking it. And these 6 things, they're all nice things to adopt as an automatic way of being. Now, the book is called The 6 Habits, not the 6 Nice Things to Know About, for a reason. So it's because we're supposed to actually develop these habitual behaviors, and they're all up here. Do you want me to walk you through what they are?
I would love for you to do that.
Okay. So the 6 habits are the way you treat yourself, which is called kindness, when
You
you're
get
getting
notes,
it
right?
right.
Okay.
Then you've got how you feel about yourself, which is your opinion of you. And when you're getting it right, that is called acceptance. And you're supposed to unconditionally love yourself, which is much harder than you think. How you feel about life and the lens that you view your whole life through, which is called gratitude. If you live a gratitude lifestyle, believe me, you're going to see the world differently and the world will see you differently. The way you respond and interact with what's happening right now, which is called presence. Then you've got all of the energy and all of the things coming at you and how you handle it and what you allow in and what you don't. That's called goodness. And then you've got all the energy that you put out and all the things that you invest your time and passion into, and that's called intention. So these 6 words, they're all things that we've heard before. But putting it into practice and living this way, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, but here's the problem. I'm already preconditioned, right? I already have those thoughts in my head, and I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. They're just
They're
over,
there.
they're there over time because you feel the way you do about yourself because of outside influences,
Right.
and all kinds of influences, But so we have the fear of success. Some people have. Some people have the fear of what do I do if I am successful or I do make a lot of money? How do you handle that?
Right.
Or fear of failure, and,
Absolutely.
and if you're in the sales world and if you're a business owner, you are in the sales world.
Or fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection. Yeah.
That one.
Which is what I was coming up to was the word no. You're going to hear that a lot.
Yeah. You're going to hear a lot out of life, out of people, opportunities, everything.
and folks should understand, no is the second best answer you can get, because yes is the best, right? Yes, I want to buy your product or your service or something. No is the second best because you know where you stand. Move on.
Mhm.
Don't spend 6 weeks, 6 months, a year leading this person on and in hopes that eventually they're going to buy from you. At least
You've spent enough time in sales to definitely know that. It's funny how many people newer in sales try to avoid no, like they try to
right.
avoid like Black Death. And it's like, no, I don't think you understand. The word no is going to save you from smoking hopium and like really believing that someone is going to say yes when they just don't have the ability to say no to you. No is amazing.
Yeah, it's Ted brings up a good point here.
Yeah. Ted says that you have to remember that you have control of your thoughts and feelings. You can shut out negative in your mind and emotions.
But that's not so easy, is it?
Mm-mm. No. Yes, you can. And Ted is right. You absolutely can. You got to build that muscle, though. It's like, I'd like to point out the tiny little muscle I've got right here. I could make it bigger if I were to work it a lot, right? And the same is true of what's in my head. The more I work that, I mean, I can't flex my cerebellum for you, but if I could, you'd see muscles popping all over the place because I practice all these things. And you can actually control a lot of different things, and it's all in how you react. So if you develop the mental muscles to get you to the point where like you're getting like some negative input or no or whatever, and you develop the muscles so well that they're instantly like, that's cool, I like no, next. And
Right.
it's not something where you have to try to psych yourself into this as a reaction. It just is your reaction. Like this is the goal, right? If you have all these amazing mental habits fully mastered, your reactions to things in the moment instantly will always serve you better.
That's interesting.
Well, here's an issue that I find with a lot of business owners, especially small business owners. When I say small business owners, Laura, I mean, maybe a truck or they've got 1 or 2 employees or something like that.
Mhm.
I'm a people pleaser. So I've created a pattern or habit to, even if I hear no, something must be wrong with me. I need to.
What did I do wrong? What did I say wrong?
Right. So it's always that people pleaser. How do you help people stop being people pleasers?
Man, I'm giggling because I've employed and worked with a lot of people pleasers. And the thing about people pleasers, it's an unquenchable thirst for external validation because there is a tremendous internal denial of internal validation. If you're busy meeting your own needs and validating the hell out of yourself, you're not going to be worried if your output is perfect because you don't need other people to tell you did a good job or that they approve of you because you approve of you. This is a journey. I want to be really clear. Me saying that to you, you're not going to be like, oh, duh, why didn't I think of that? And you're all better now.
Yeah.
Like that's not the way it works. Like epiphanies are great, right? But you actually have to do something about it. So the advice and the work I would want to do with you is to work on why you don't love yourself, why you don't validate yourself, why you refuse to provide yourself with the things you need. And it's probably coming from a lot of lessons you learned from your parents, not by what they said, but what they did and how they treated themselves. And
Yeah.
a lot of subconscious scripting that was there, a lot of things in life that have, reinforced this messaging that I should not approve of me. I can only get approval from others. Therefore, I have to be perfect and I have to earn it. Like, I would want to fully unpack that with you and spend quality time, like creating that safety for you to like really talk about it, figure it out. So then you could be, sorting through all these messages that you got from the past. And then you could actually have the earth shaking revelations of, oh my God, I watched my dad speak to himself this way. And I watched my mom always like do this and that. And oh my God, I remember in school, they always told me this, this, and this. And I don't agree. And then
Yeah.
you can have your big,
Well, we start off growing up wanting to please our parents.
Yes, we do.
I think that's where it starts. If you're a people pleaser, that's where it starts, I think, because that's where it started for me. You want acceptance from your parents. You want them to be proud of you and whatnot. And we grow into that. And I will tell you that I previously, uh, up until recently, was that type of person, a people pleaser. It was
Mhm.
important to me.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person, and so yeah, I want to please people. But I can tell you, once you have a focus, maybe not quite an epiphany, but you have that focus of what you want to do, where you want to go.
Yeah.
Um, Pleasing people isn't as important.
No, it's not.
I've found.
Well, there's also a difference. Like when you learn to master the habit of acceptance, for example, and you arrive at true unconditional love of yourself, um, you get into a place where you do like to please other people, but it's not necessary. It's just like, I like to do this. I don't need to do this. It's more like, I love you and I want to do something nice for you. So let me please you this way. I'm also not willing to set myself on fire to keep you warm. So if that doesn't please you, that's also too bad. And that is a beautiful evolution. And it doesn't mean that other people don't matter to us. They very much do. Like I myself, I'm an extremely loving, very affectionate person, but I've got some pretty tight boundaries. Like my love for you ends where I need to hurt myself to love you.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because people fall into traps. I've dealt with that recently with a family member, and that was a tough one.
Yeah.
And I told that person, I said, a time is going to come in the near future that you're going to be really pissed off about how you fell into the situation and got yourself into. I said,
Yeah.
that's when you start healing. And that's exactly what has happened. But we all fall into traps. We build these walls, right? We like to
Mhm.
build walls around us that they're to kind of hide who we think we are from other people. We don't want other people to know all of our uh, bad habits or negative thoughts,
Mhm.
or really who we are behind the scenes, as opposed to when we're out in public.
Yeah. The real true versions of ourselves.
Yeah,
The vulnerable and squishy ones that are
right.
not impervious to being hurt.
Yeah, when you and I were having a conversation, and one of the things I said to you was I'm an open book.
Mhm.
I'll talk about anything. If it helps others, because you can open up and you can talk about the the good, the bad, and the ugly of your life, um, you get somewhere, right? When you're talking with someone like Laura, being open and honest I think, would be a very important aspect to follow if you want to be successful in coming out the other side a better person,
Yep.
a
Honesty is everything.
stronger minded person. Scott Giles, good morning. That's a hard habit to break. Scott, I think all habits are hard to break. Um, and I think and Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the first things you need to do is have to want to break the habit.
Yeah. You need to first be aware that you have it, and then you need to figure out why you want to break it, and if that reason is strong enough for you. And that's where you can manufacture incredible desire. Um, so one of the things that I like to encourage people to do is obviously read my book. It's a good one. I'm very heavily biased. It's very good. But if you see, bam, there you go. So the 6 habits on Amazon, on Audible. So read it, right? Learn what there is to learn of what's possible for you. But then there's a whole bunch of free stuff that goes with the book that will help you to get in touch with you, to learn about you. Where do you stand? Where does some of this stuff come from? And do some deep self-inquiry. And when you go through this process of self-inquiry, that's when you can stumble upon desire, because sometimes we just accept things the way they are because we just don't think about them. It's just momentum for momentum's sake. And it's like, oh, well, this is just what I do. Is it though? Does it have to be? Is it serving you? Is it hurting you? And, having that moment of realization of, oh my God, all the things that have been really hard about my life, they don't have to be this way. This is fixable. I can control this and I can prevent further pain. And like, look at all the things I've lost because of this. when you actually see it in black and white, that's where that desire comes from. It comes from knowledge, right? And it's kind of like the purpose of all those freebies that go with the book is to get people out of ignorance, because it's so easy to just pretend your life is fine when it's very much on fire. I don't know if you've seen that meme where there's like this cartoon dog where he's just sitting like in hell and everything's on fire. This is fine. This is most people. This is most people. It's like, this is fine. It's like, no, this is not fine. You have no idea what this has cost you or what it could prevent you from having in the future unless you look at it.
Ken and I were talking earlier. It's like, what happened to common sense?
Yeah,
it's gone. It is gone from our society,
and that people don't have.
Yes,
we can coax it back in through profound self-awareness, and
there's still some of us left that have this commonsensical mindset, but
I prefer critical thinking. I think we've lost the ability to critically think. And I think that helps.
We're not trained to do it, but we're capable of doing it. Right. And I think, Bill, you know this about me. Like, I'm very obsessed with the subject of sovereignty. The freedom to have and be what you want, the freedom from the stuff you hate, the responsibility to take the repercussions of whatever choices you make, and the responsibility for others and the impact of what you do. Like, it's all of those things. And I think by and large, our society has not prepared people for the responsibility side of sovereignty. And I'm really hoping that the book that I've written and the work that I do really gives people the tools they need to actually believe in their own ability to handle things, to do critical thinking, to look inward and be unafraid. Like, no one's going to share your answers with the rest of the world. Like, it's not like, we're going to tattle on you. Like, it's okay. Look inside, look at yourself, ask critical questions bravely, and look at the answers with courage and like, wow, okay. And then that, when you do this, it actually gives you courage to talk about the other stuff in the world, or exist with the other stuff in the world, like have conversations about abortion with people who don't agree with you, talk about what's happening with anything that's controversial in society right now, anything. Like,
so we can,
Johnny Depp trial, it could be whatever.
Now we can bring up church and things like that. Church and politics.
Not on
I think if you work on you and you get yourself to a point where you can handle a lot of different things calmly and confidently, because that someone having a different opinion than you doesn't actually ruin your whole world.
Yeah.
If you work on you so much that that, you can talk about church, you can talk about politics. My God, you can even do it at the dinner table. I mean, you can do a lot of these different things.
I mentioned to you, I think in our conversation that not long ago, like 2-3 years ago, I made a choice. I made a mind shift, and I said, I'm done listening to other people trying to tell me how to do what I do. I've had it. I'm sick of it. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to do it my way. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, fine. I don't care, because I'm just so fed up with people everybody trying to tell me how to do something, do my job the way they think it should be done. And especially in the sales world, we get this all the time, right? There's no cookie cutter sales method, right? There's just not. Every salesperson has their own personality. And I've seen salespersons that have no personality and they sell like crazy.
Sure.
And I've seen, then there's that guy who can sell an ice cube to an Eskimo.
Yeah. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, but
I'll sell ice to people in Florida. I can do that. Hey,
try selling some to the Chicago people right now.
Of course, this is 216net, the innovative strategies with Bill Hasse, and we've got Laura D. Benedetto from lauradbenedetto.com talking about the 6 habits, her book, which is great, and we're talking about practical tools for bringing your dreams to life, which is awesome. Please visit her website to learn more about what she does. Any other way that the people can link in with you or hook up with you, Laura?
Well, Laura D. Benedetto is the best way to get there, lauradbenedetto.com. But if you can't spell that, and a lot of people can't, you can get there through my other website, the6habits.com, which is THESIX habits.com.
There you go. And a D Benedetto is one I, and then what is it?
And one N and one
Three-
D.
three
So
E's, two T's. Yeah,
it's two T's. Man, it's like an alphabet soup in there. So.
Yeah.
that's right.
It's but I love the name. If just for Lord D.
It does.
Benedetto.
I am also a fan.
You know, but and again, these 6 habits, like these are, to me, these are so important to learn, if not just personal life, but professionally. You need to get rid of some of these ghosts you have in your head, and these demons that tell you, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not deserving, or I'm afraid to succeed, or I'm afraid to fail, I'm afraid to do anything.
Okay.
Because your business owners have a tendency to paralysis through analysis, right? They don't make decisions, and you'll fail for sure doing that. I mean, we had a few weeks ago Bill Ulivari on here, and we talked about how make the trade, manage the risk.
Yeah.
So make a decision and then manage that decision that you've made and the consequences that fall out from that.
Well, questions come in from a listener, texted in. Laura, there's a lot of books on this habit creating and whatnot out there on the market. What separates what you do from all the others?
That's a great question. I like that one. So there are a lot of books out there on the subject of habits in general. A lot of them speak to physical habits. They educate on habit loops. They talk about, habit breaking, things like that. I haven't actually found any books that talk about a series of mental habits and training your brain to adopt 6 specific ones and getting out the other ones. What's interesting though is there are also a lot of books that talk about how to improve your life, and there are many wonderful thought leaders who teach about gratitude. And I mean, gosh, they've got volumes dedicated to just the subject of gratitude and the power of that. And there's a lot of wonderful thought leaders out there who speak about all of these different things, but separately. My book is the only one that has identified these as 6 pieces of the pie inside your head. These are 6 parts of the whole that actually create a really happy mindset. My body of research has pulled on lots of research into human behavior, psychology, scientific studies, and just good old-fashioned people watching and figuring out what makes people happy. And it's not, I mean, to quote Simon Sinek here, it's not what you do, it's why you do it. And like someone who goes to yoga, they're not happy because they go to yoga. They go to yoga because they're happy. And that's a really important distinction. So
that's
my
why
book is very unique in this regard.
Yeah. Great stuff. Thank you.
So let me ask you this then. These are kind of like life skills.
Indeed.
And one thing I know is we don't teach life skills.
Oh my God. No. That is the conversation that you and I have had, and I love what you're up to in the world. Yup.
Well, thank you. And because we're going to try and bring that into play, and we'll see how well that's received. But
a lot of parents are going to be excited about this because they know where they're lacking, or what they don't want their kids to be lacking, or maybe I can't teach this to my kids, but I know they need to know it. And can I read the book too? Like there's going to be some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so desperately needed. All kinds of life skills, decision making, negotiating, leadership, communication, and communication on so many different levels, whether it's personal, friendship levels, radio show, or in the corporate world. You want to get to that next level, you got to learn what's the communication level you need to be at to be in that position. And
also, who do you need to be to inhabit that position?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ted asks, what made you decide to get into your industry? How long have you been there? And lastly, what do you see as your biggest challenge to what you do?
Since I can keep that on my screen, I can answer all 3, because otherwise my short-term memory is a little fuzzy. All right. So first things first, what made me decide to get into the industry? I started a business when I was 19, and I did all the things that society encourages us to do. I did the whole hustle and grind and work my buns off, and I chased a lot of mental highs, and what I did not do was actually understand or pursue actual happiness. I just chase the symbols of it. I've got a ton of awards, very proud of them, but they do not make a person happy. They give you a high in the moment. I've made a lot of money. I've, gone and traveled and done awesome things. I've been on TV. I've done a lot of the things that would give a person status and make it look like they've got it all together. But then when I retired when I was 37, I found myself feeling remarkably empty, and that didn't seem to add up for me. It was like, well, I did all the things that I'm supposed to do according to society, and yet I'm no happier for it. In fact, I'm bleeding internally. My marriage is on fire. I just got married, and I'm the miserable, worst version of myself ever. So that was the inspiration, because it wasn't to get into the industry. That was never the goal. The goal was to solve a problem. So it forced me to get very curious. And as an entrepreneur, I'm a natural born, curious, scab picker, problem solver, white rabbit follower. It's what I do. So I saw this question, well, what the hell is happiness? Because I was mad, right? I was very, very mad because I felt like I got screwed over. And in a sense, I had. I think a lot of people get screwed over by this illusion of chase all the things, have the boat, have the career, blah, 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 and you'll be happy. And it's a big fat lie. So I wanted to know, for me, to save my own self, what is happiness? What do happy people have in common? Because whatever it is, I don't have it and I need it. So it forced me to go on this adventure. And since I was retired, I had the time to do the scientific studies and really dive in and really get some quality answers versus just guessing, because guessing is a disaster. I didn't want to do that. So what happened is I discovered all these things. I changed my own life massively, like unbelievably. I became nice. I wasn't nice before. I was the dragon lady. Became a better leader. I became a more collaborative, vulnerable, like loving spouse, the person I wanted to be. And then I looked all around me and I was like, wow, all that external stuff, they're nice to haves, but they're not need to haves. I never loved me. I was never nice to me. I wasn't grateful for anything. And I just realized how much I was on fire. So this was all for me. So I worked to master these habits. And the whole reason I wrote the book is because I got so happy and so transformed. And the proof was in the pudding. And there was an absolute bona fide results-driven solution to the pain that a lot of people feel. I had to share it. Had to. I really believe this was a divine gift. So this happened in, oh my God, I think it was 2018. So I've been in this whole space for 4 years, and I learn more every day. My clients teach me more. I'm going to be writing another book soon, probably like second edition of the 6 Habits, because there's just so much more texture to it, post-pandemic especially. And the last question was, what do you see as the biggest challenge with what you do? Frankly, it's getting the message out there, because I don't even care if I make money from this. I've got other income streams. My goal is to see this world not be so cranky. Like, people are angry and they're fighting about everything. If you pop into Twitter for 2 minutes, you see just venom dripping from everybody's virtual lips. And there's just so much hatred and division and all this other stuff. But if you work on you and you're really good in here, I know this to be true. You don't have hate for these people. Like, I employ people who think differently from me. I'm friends with people who think differently from me, and I can coexist and love them. And I think people lost that ability. And the challenge, I think, is getting it out there, but also getting people to realize that it doesn't have to be this way, and that there is a massive gap in what we've been taught from our parents, from our schools, and from society. Like, we've all gotten the screw job. And if we can actually collectively agree on that, then we'll work on doing something about it. And I think that's the challenge.
You know, you got Kent dancing over here in the background, jumping up and down, going right on, spot on.
I can't see the dancing. Is it like the hokey pokey?
He has a fear of cameras. But you brought something up really important. So you got to like age 37, and now you're what, 38 and a half. But
yes, no, I've gone backwards. I'm 29 again.
There you go. But there's so many people that they followed that path, right? That they were taught. You go to school, get good grades, work hard, go to college, graduate in 4 years, which only 40% of the people do. And then get a good job and work your way up the ladder and yada yada yada.
Yeah,
And I
follow
know,
these sequential steps.
yeah, and I know so many people that hate what they do, but they can't give up their job because they make too much money, and so
Yeah,
they're not willing to give that up. Now,
I know. I'm working
not
with
that they
someone
can't, they're not
exactly like that
willing.
right now. But
Yeah,
there's a path out of it. There
yeah.
is.
I mean, and then look at all these people like in my world, the financial world. I
Mhm.
know so many people that are so overextended. The home that's too big, the fancy cars, and they're living paycheck to paycheck, and they're drowning.
I know
And
they want to look like they're the millionaire, right? And it's
right,
like nobody believes me when I tell people this, but there is a psychological reason for validation that people will purchase something like a Maserati or a this or that. Not that these
oh yeah,
aren't lovely, they really are, but it's like there's the hey, look at me aspect that people are looking for, for the external validation. Because honestly, the people who are the richest externally and internally will drive a busted ass Hyundai from 1987 and not care what you think.
That's
yeah,
right.
You
right.
know, like those things are great, but I mean, you see these people, titans of industry, to your point, they seem to have it all, but do they? No, they don't. They're
No, I
empty.
don't.
There's a huge chasm of pain inside that says, I need to work hard. I have to hustle. I have to achieve. I have to make the money. I have to have the boat. I have to do these things because this is what the sheet says. I have to be
Absolutely.
happy by doing this stuff. I have to. And there's a sense of like insane desperation to this because if you take these things away from the person, they will psychologically fall apart.
And
Wow.
so true. So I was at a job, and a guy said, "Well, what is it you're working for towards? What is it you really want? Is it a car? Is it a house?" He was talking about a physical object, and he wanted me to put a picture of that on the wall that I stare at every day from my desk. Work
Mhm.
towards that.
Yeah, what if
And
you
I'm
don't
just like,
actually want that?
it's great to have nice things,
It
right?
is.
But not to the point where it it ruins your life technically. Every day you get in that Maserati, and you have to go to work because you're
You're
barely making
working
enough
for
money
it.
to cover the cost of the world you've created around you.
Of now the gas that
Absolutely.
went into that Maserati.
Yeah, and now that $4.59 a gallon gas.
I know.
Um,
I am very proud to be the person who lives below my means. I was joking with one of my neighbors. I was like, when I hit it big, I'll never tell anybody, uh, but there may be signs. We might be getting a solar roof. We might be getting a hot tub in the back. We might be doing these things, but like, there's so much pressure alleviation from living below your means and almost turning into a game. I was actually speaking with one of my clients yesterday who, you're going to appreciate this. He's had some financial issues. He lived above his means for a long time. And he's like, oh, yeah, I just consolidated some of my finances and I pulled out $15,000. So, I can make some improvements around the house. Meanwhile, he wants to make improvements to his business. So I said, okay, so if you just had to consolidate your debt and you pulled out $15,000 to improve your house, do you think this is going to materially improve your life? And he's like, well, no. Do you think if you invested that $15,000 in your business and you and your development and more coaching, do you think that could materially improve your life? Yeah. Well, then why do you want to do this stuff? Well, because it's what I've always done. Okay. So every time you feel bad or you feel financial pressure, you need to psychologically remind yourself, no, 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 I'm fine. I can still spend. See, look at me spending. But then all you're doing is making yourself feel better for a week, tops,
but
and
Laura,
then you're back in the suck. And
but,
he's like,
but
oh my God, you're right. Yeah, live below your means, dude.
but we live in America. In America, uh,
America.
America.
we live in debt. I
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
that's the American way.
He said the same thing. He's like, but does that mean I'm not an American if I don't live in debt? Guess
Okay,
not.
so all right, so we're not the American government where we can just print money at will, and we won't go down there.
Anyway.
But
Don't come on.
but yeah, that's the American way. The average American has about 17 credit cards,
Oh my God.
whether they're gas cards, Kohl's, Target,
Yeah.
Visa, all those. Add them all up, and the average American has about 17 cards. Um, you know, and I love the mentality too. You know, go to Target. If you open up an account today, we'll give you 10% off your purchase. So somebody spends, Kent's got a lot of cards. So somebody spends, they go buy $50 worth, they open up an account to save $5. And they
I
have no idea
know.
what that
I do the
does.
same thing at TJ Maxx, and believe me, I do love a bargain. But like, I'll go to TJ Maxx or Target, and they'll be like, if you open an account today, you can save 20% on this transaction. And I'm like,
Right.
the only way that's interesting to me is if I can save 20% on every transaction, which I cannot. Therefore, your deal is crap. My personal favorite, though, is the poor person who works in the cashier role, who has never been handed a financial education of any merit whatsoever, is trying to convince me how this is good for me. And it's like,
It's that upsell.
I love you. I respect you. I really need you to stay in your lane here. Like,
well, it's amazing if you can find somebody who's good at that. But because, I told you one time I went to McDonald's, I gave the kid $5.25 for a $3.15 charge. And I had to tell him he owes me $2.05 back or $2.10 back.
I love
because he couldn't make it. He couldn't make the change.
I love Kohl's, and I only shop there when there's the gold stars, right? But then you get the receipt, and it's like, hey, you saved $500, but I spent $300.
Right. Oh, we love that.
You really
sale everywhere.
You get yourself to the thrift store and you poke around and find something really great for like $1 that costs $300. I recently got some designer shoes for $1. I am very happy with myself. At some point, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, I love your shoes," and I'll be like, "They're amazing."
Yeah, but you know what? Do you feel the same paying $1 as if you had paid $300?
I feel better because I feel like I've won something. It's almost like a personal.
That's because you have a strong muscular mind.
Oh yeah, I get no value and be like, "Look at me, I overpaid." No.
Yeah,
here's a question for you.
I'm a Yankee. I appreciate a bargain. Okay.
That's right. There you go.
We are a gal from Massachusetts.
So question is, how often do you find yourself slipping out of your own 6 habits? I mean, you've created this. You've got this wonderful book that's out there. And I'm going to throw it up there again. The 6 habits. You can find it out on. You can download it on Audible, out at Amazon, all that good stuff. So you've created these 6 habits so that people can live their dreams and bring them to fruition in life. How often do you find yourself slipping out of your own 6 habits?
Well, turns out I'm a human, and it happens a lot, actually. The real habits that you develop is resiliency and returning to it pretty effortlessly and automatically.
Awesome.
So my old habits, I've had those longer, right? And you're gonna if you read the book, if you do the work, if you download the exercises and fill in the things and really meet yourself and you work to master these habits, believe me. Your old habits are not going down without a fight. Mine aren't. They're still there, but my newer ones are, they're stronger, but they're not as deeply rooted. So there's a part of this where I have to maintain a desire to be this happy person. And I realize how much better my life is. Going through the pandemic, not a great time for me, not at all. I was clinically depressed. And through a lot of the things that I personally experienced, I had PTSD that I had to work through. Now, these are psychological conditions that made me feel like a fraud for a little bit. And I was like, oh, well, I wrote a book about happiness. It's like, oh, shoot. Well, actually, you can go through a trauma and not actually be a fraud, because a lot of people have gone through collective trauma. And, I had to practice kindness to myself. And I'll give you a great example. So, when I mastered these habits, I lost weight that I'd been carrying around because I was stress eating, right? And then when I was going through all the pandemic stuff, at the height of it, I was lonely. I was feeling isolated. I was feeling socially ostracized because of some of my opinions about risk. As an entrepreneur, I'm comfortable with risk in ways that other people are largely not. So, I felt very ostracized, and I ended up moving away from my dream home to pursue a different dream. And that was very difficult. And and there was just a lot of cascading dominoes that really affected me negatively. And, I chose to give myself the kindness of, I know I stress eat, and that's my stress valve. And I'm going through a pandemic, which is a little weird. And I'm watching lots of parts of my life that I have worked for years to put together, now on fire. And I am not okay with it. And I don't have an outlet and I can't fix this. And I'm frustrated beyond measure. I actually am just going to let myself eat whatever the hell I want. And if I gain weight, it's cool. And I'm consciously just going to choose to deal with that later. Tomorrow me can deal with it. Today me really needs a pie. So it's fine. And that was an example of kindness, but I had to be much more clear about changing how I do the things. Like the kindness had to change, accepting myself. I had to, I questioned a lot of things, but it had returned to me. I journaled harder. Gratitude, I'll be honest, was really hard to find during a lot of these moments.
Sure.
But honestly, I chose to double down. And, even now, like I'm fine. I did tons of therapy with the PTSD and, I worked through the clinical depression. I've got a wonderful therapist. And, I actually feel like I've come out of all of this better because of these habits, because I'm so much more resilient. I was able to be much more articulate and clear about why I was in pain so I could isolate the source of it, do something about it, and be kind to myself and, accept myself and love myself and put intention behind my recovery, right? And these are really valuable tools. Like, if you'll notice, I said I moved from one dream to another dream, not I lost my dream. I moved from one to another, and I still had enough spark of love and joy and something inside of me that I didn't want to extinguish. So I was like, well, if this dream is going to be set on fire, by God, I'm going to build another one. And that was, my intention at work. So there was a lot here.
Sounds like you kind of got back to let's control the things we can control, and let's focus on that. Let's work on that. And
Oh, look at that picture.
worry less about the are you a cat lady? You like
Maybe.
beautiful. Getting back to things you can control and kind of letting go of the things you can't control, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But the value here, just to bring this circle around here, this is personal and professional life. This is what helps you in life, right, as a whole, but professionally as well as personally. And that's kind of why I reached out to you, looking ahead at my professional life, saying I can foresee issues that I know I've had in the past, demons that I may be running into in the future. And instead of sitting around waiting to see if those demons actually come about or not, I reached out to you and said, I'd rather take charge of that. I'd rather go after it and attack it.
Yeah, it's really proactive. And personally, like how I feel about the choice that you made is getting ahead of it. It's seeing it on the horizon. That's a lot of emotional intelligence in the choice to A, see it, acknowledge it, B, and then C, like work to be like, no, that's not going to work for me. And success is my only option. I'm completely intolerant of any other variable. Like having that attitude, it's incredible, like emotional intelligence. It's also just straight up intelligence. It's really, it's a sign of a lot of your strength already, to want to really get ahead of something and actually show up with vulnerability, which, in the conversations that we had, I mean, you fully showed up. You were very transparent, exactly as you said you would be. And that's where you see profound change. If you lie to me, you're just lying to you.
Right. Right. Well, again, yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And then you're making both of us work harder, and then we're both uncomfortable. Why do that?
And you're gonna beat me over the head with a stick, I guess. But
I'm fresh out of those.
So Scott Giles put something up here, and Scott's a great friend of the show and station.
Great guy.
He says, it's interesting. It's interesting that we have a fear of success, but we work so hard to try to achieve it. Our brain's an interesting muscle. Why is that people are afraid of success, Laura?
Thank you, Scott, for what you said. I love this. And the reason that we experience this is because of how we feel about ourselves. We want success because we've been told to want that. And in a certain way, we've had it defined for us. This is what success is. This is what you want. Go pursue that. So we pursue it doggedly. And yet we are afraid of achieving the thing because we deeply doubt that we can do it. So this is self-belief. This is that unconditional self-love that I'm talking about. That,
Well,
you
what's
know,
the alternative?
well, the alternative is to either reject the social conditioning that says this is what success looks like, go after it this way, and then you'll be happy, which is a big fat lie. Just openly reject it. Or you can, and I'd say, or you can also work on unconditionally loving yourself, which is the habit of acceptance, which is, you can read the book and see there's actual legit instructions for how to master this. But once you do that, you'll find yourself questioning all of those social conditions anyway, and just be like, I don't doubt myself and I can do it. And you may decide that you agree with the social conditions of like, yes, I really do want that, but then you don't step on your own tail. Or you'll just decide, no, actually, I don't want that at all because that's a lot of work and I don't want to do it. I'm actually pretty happy exactly where I am and I love me and my life is good and I'm happy with my Hyundai.
Yeah, because everybody's different, right? There are folks that do want to be leaders. There are folks that do want to be the solopreneurs or entrepreneurs that want to build something. And then there are other folks who say, nah, I don't really want to. I just want to go to work, be told what to do, collect my paycheck, and I'm good.
Yeah. I admire the people that have the courage to choose a more humble life. I've actually got a client that I've been working with for over a year. And one of the biggest challenges in our work was accepting that what she really wants is peace, tranquility, and an easy life filled with things that she just loves. And she doesn't need to be on Oprah. She doesn't need to have all of the trappings and external success and a huge $1 billion brand. She's like, I thought I wanted that because I really enjoy like the glorification aspect of, being successful. But the more I actually glorify myself, I realize I don't need these things. So what happens is, after a period of time, because believe me, that old dream and that old social conditioning also did not go down without a fight. After a while, it was like, wow, my desires are actually simpler. And I actually already have what I want. And I don't need to push to make this anything other than just joyful, which changes the business plan. It changes the way she operates. It changes everything about her. And now there's a lightness to everything she's doing. She's lost a ton of weight. She's having more fun. And now, wouldn't you know it, now the money's pouring in. So it's interesting.
love this.
She's doing it her way.
I do. I love this. I love this angle because you don't get this anywhere. You don't. This doesn't sell. It doesn't sell media. It doesn't sell TV shows. It doesn't sell news.
It doesn't move products either because you have to feel a certain sense of lack so you'll actually go out and spend.
Because we all have those conditions, right? And like you say, do I want to drive a beat up 20-year-old Hyundai or would I like a brand new Maserati?
Exactly.
And we're conditioned. Most of us want that Maserati.
I drive a minivan.
You do.
Nice.
The silver Mamba.
Yeah, there you go. But your wife won't drive it. That's why you drive it.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys something funny? You'll appreciate this.
Go right ahead.
So my bestie, she's hysterical. I remember like when I was first getting to know her, I was driving. Okay, I used to live this way, so feel free to judge old me. Lord knows I did, right? I was driving a really sexy Audi convertible, fast little sex machine, as my friends used to call it. And, I went to this event and she was there and we're, walking to our cars and I wasn't really paying attention. I was just putting the top down, getting ready to drive away. And then I hear her next to me talking smack. And she's like, yeah, you wish you had my car, bitch. And I'm just like, oh, the rudeness. And I'm ready to whip around, be like, what are you talking about? And then there she is in her silver minivan. And I was like, and it is so hilarious today. And I'm like, Christine, I love you.
That was Captain Disguise.
Totally just called me on my crap and just made light of just ridiculousness. Thank you for that. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's too funny. That reminds me, I've got a niece that when she was living in New York, she was a model, beautiful person and woman, but she was driving a Mercedes convertible, and she had the flowing scarf and the big glasses and everything else, and she pulled up into an intersection and kind of overshot it a little bit and almost bumped into a guy walking across, and he taps on the car and looks at her and goes, "Nice move, oh God, Brittany." He said, "Nice move, Brittany." Britney Spears kind of thing, because she's trying to act that whole part out.
Yeah.
And we, like you say, we need to get past this.
Yeah. Why, and we've got about 5 minutes left, but Laura, why do we as humans try so hard to impress everyone except ourselves?
We've been trained to do it. That's it. That's why.
Sad. Yeah.
But it is very sad. But, a lot like Bill needs to be putting a lot of financial education into the broken system. We need to be putting a lot of emotional education. So my big goal here is to get moms and dads to read my book, to change themselves, so then they will begin modeling better behavior to their children. So their children learn right from go of how to really love themselves and, pursue their dreams and, guard their energy and, just go through life with a ton of power and authority. And it's amazing. Like, kids are watching us from when they're born, and they're wonderful, cute little smelly sponges, right? And they're watching what we do. It's not what we say, because God bless my mom. I love my mom. But for years, I watched her be on a diet that lasted 25 years and hating the way she looked and said terrible things when she looked in the mirror. That's not what she said to me to do. It's what she showed me to do. So that's what I learned to do. And I did that for years. So I was on a diet for 20 years too.
Yeah, I don't know many people that aren't on some form of a diet. And I don't know many people that are, including myself. It's like you watch what you eat, but you don't.
Yeah. So if we can change our social conditioning by changing moms and dads and helping them to just be truly happy and joyful in all the ways that I described, they'll be better leaders for their kids, the next generation. They'll advocate for this in school. We're not going to solve this problem socially today, but I believe in one generation, we can see a much more peaceful, abundant, loving earth.
I think you're right. And what I'm trying to do, and I'm actually, instead of going after the moms and dads, I'm going to start with the kids, because hopefully they can absorb it, move forward, and bring it to their parents. It will be offered out to the parents as well, but I think that target market is very important for what you're doing. I know I'm going to be a part of it. I'm as soon as I get off of here, I'm buying the book. That's for sure. But
if you're like me, you're going to end up getting the printed copy and the Audible, because I like to scribble all over the printed copy and then listen to it and have someone read it to me like 5 times consecutively.
I love reading.
All right. Shambi, thank you for listening, South Africa. But what about us who are not educated but want to achieve in life, like myself? I'm a Code 14 driver, and I want to go drive overseas. We really want to work hard in life. I'm watching from South Africa, by the way.
Well, hello from South Africa. It's nice to have you here from oceans away.
Yeah.
There's traditional education, and then there is non-traditional. And I believe in the non-traditional, which means you teach yourself. You cannot help where you are right now, but you can help yourself to get where you want to go by taking responsibility for who you are today, fully owning it, and then deciding who you wish to be in the future. If you want to learn, YouTube is the biggest complimentary free university in the whole world. You can learn anything. My husband taught himself how to trade, and now we're setting up an entire company based on what we learned on YouTube. So unquenchable curiosity will really help you. But more than anything, do some work on yourself. It's so, so important. If you work on you and you look within, you will be able to achieve as much in your business as you do as a human. And I've said this to so many people, and it's so true. You will always be limited in success by how much you've actually worked on yourself. If you work on yourself all the time and you're always open and receptive and willing to learn and grow, you're you're going to be a magnet for success of whatever you decide. I mean, you could do like a trucking fleet if you want to. You could do your own logistics. You could do a courier service. You could do, you could set something up where you're doing limousine travel. You could do tours. There's a million things that are like tertiary to what you already know how to do. But if you work on you, the human, and then you work on embellishing your professional skills, the sky is the limit for you, my friend.
Good words to live by as the clock ticks.
That's right.
And I think
I am long-winded. I apologize.
No, not at all. Fascinating information and knowledge. And like I said, I look forward to working with you in the future. And can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing your gifts, your knowledge, your experiences, and helping us all learn a little bit better, how to be better people.
Thank you.
Of course, we got to thank Laura for being here. Visit her website at lauradbenedetto.com. Grab her book, do the exercises, and that'll help you out.
Yeah, I'm going to read that first. Then I'm coming to you.
For all of us here, 21.6 Net. Thanks for getting caught in the net with us this morning. This has been Innovative Strategies with Bill Hasse. Come back at 12:30 Central Time for questions you never thought you could ask in church. Till then, everyone, be good, but more importantly, be good to each other.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening in. Thanks for coming out, Laura.